For me, taking a step back and just looking at the whole process and how everyone was working together really gave me insight into who I am in this BW community, like how I fit in. Also at my leadership skills, how they compare with other people's, and how sometimes it's best to let other people take the reins on things, and how that helps us work more cohesively as a group. So I think it was humbling in the sense that it taught me, to reflect more instead of just jump in and take the lead on things sometimes. And it helped me learn so much more about everybody else, that it helped me to grow as an individual in ways that I didn't think I would, because I knew it was just going to be, we're leaders, we're getting involved, getting to know the new students. But I think I took out of it a lot more with working with the other orientation leaders and then learning from the new students as well. I didn't think I would learn as much from them as I did. It gave me an opportunity to reflect on my own concerns as a new student and kind of rekindle my appreciation for BW and my love for it. So I think that was a big thing.
I learned that I can work more with people than I thought I could, especially being more laid back and having a lot more fun than being so uptight. So.
I think that I learned a lot about how I've grown through my 4 years at BW. It was really interesting to look back at my experiences especially as a weekend of welcome orientation leader. I've done it for 3 consecutive years, and looking back at how I've progressed as a leader and actually become kind of quieter and more to myself than I used to be, I think in a good way, more reflective, was surprising.
I didn't realize how patient I could be. I know previously I've always struggled with patience. I thought eventually at some point during the weekend I'd flip out, but I was able to keep pretty calm throughout the whole, all 4 weekends, which was really cool to see, and I never really even got close to getting frustrated.
I think I took myself too serious before orientation. I felt like I always needed to be, on and perfect all the time, but really those little things don't matter. It's more the big things that matter, and if you can make someone's day or just make someone smile or happy, those things I think have a bigger impact than just I have to recite this information or remember this and this. Those are important too, obviously, getting that across, but if you mess up on on something, just kind of brushing it off and not letting it get to you, I think that was a big thing I learned about myself that I needed to work on, and I think doing orientation helped me with that.
I'd have to say, of the connections I made with first year students, the ones I made were really strong, really solid. I didn't make I don't want to say a whole lot, but there are a few that are very strong, very solid, and I could definitely see them on campus and ask them how they're doing and have a really deep connection with them.
I learned that I'm more comfortable with other people than I am with myself sometimes. Mostly with my interactions with new students, I feel really comfortable and very able to talk about anything that comes up, like favorite movies, those kind of trivial things, but also making sure I'm honest and sincere about everything, but also a little bit uncomfortable with first injecting myself into those situations, because as you know I do before, I vulture, or I like to go around groups to make sure that they're interacting, but myself interacting with them, sometimes I have to take a big gulp of breath and just go forward.
I learned a lot about myself as far as different leadership style that I have, because I thought that I would lead one way. That was kind of how I had led when I was in high school. But being an orientation leader, I really got to develop my leadership style in its own way and get more comfortable with that.
I didn't expect that I would be able to always be on. You always say you're always, everyone's watching you as an orientation leader. So that's one thing I didn't expect, was to always be able to put myself in the mood of whenever someone would come up to me, I always would change right away. I'd say, yes, how do you need help? What's going on? How are you? So it was nice to be able to rev myself up.
The part actually working with my counterpart, I learned a lot from her, and especially because she kind of knew what she was doing, and being my first year, I kind of just watched her and stuff.
Working with another person that I wasn't that familiar with, there was somebody that their personality was different than mine in certain ways that allowed me to kind of explore different leadership avenues, and explore his strengths and weaknesses, and vice versa, to be able to work with somebody in a really fun, unique way.
I guess being adaptable, because from weekend to weekend you really don't know what kind of group you're going to get, how your group dynamic's going to be. So being able to adapt to how your group's going to react to the things that you're doing / presenting to them.
I think for me, it was, the entire process was a learning experience. Training itself was a learning experience in the sense that it taught you about the role. It brought us all together to start getting to know each other better. But I think each weekend brought a different component to the overall experience, which helped me learn. I think because we had new dynamics every single weekend, so we'd have to think on our feet or adjust to the group of students we were working with. I think that helped me grow the most and learn the most. And then by weekend of welcome, I feel like it kind of reflected how we've gotten to know the different dynamics of the new class, how we've gotten to know our dynamics with each other, because I think by then we kind of had our niche figured out, how to work with them, how to do things with them. So I think through the weekend, the actual weekends of orientation is when I learned the most.
When parents would come up to me and ask questions directly, just kind of thinking right on my feet and being able to either know the answer or know where to find the answer, and just to see that they really appreciated that I took the time to go and support them and help them out with their questions and making like a personal connection, so I wasn't just leading them somewhere where they had nowhere to go. So that's a good experience.
I would have to say it was the 4th weekend of doing orientation, and it was then when I realized that just because I've done this 3 other times, the other students coming in, this is their first and only orientation. So being able to remove any prior experiences that I may have had, and just be able to go into each orientation with an open mind, because it is their first. So I acted like it was my first also. So every activity, even if I've done the task a few times before, I still tried to keep it like it was my first time too.
I think the part that helped me learn the most was dealing with students that definitely made you feel uncomfortable or would question things you were doing, just because you had to question yourself and your actions and what was appropriate and right to do in the situation. I think that helped me learn the most with dealing with things that made me uncomfortable and helped me grow.
I think that facilitating the groups is what really helped me learn the most. Working with the students, and especially students who didn't know you very well. So you had to build up their respect and get them to kind of like you and be on your side, which I thought was really, really beneficial, because in the real world, that's what you're gonna have to do a lot, is meet a group of people who don't know you at all and then try and win them over and get them to see why they need to respect you and learn things from you.
I think my ability to control a group of people, especially with a group of first years who don't really know what's going on or how BW works or anything of that sort. I definitely feel that through leading them in activities and leading the group in different, we're going here now, or we're going to go do our IT sessions and that kind of thing. I really felt more comfortable with just leading a group through something, and that's really good obviously for me because I'm a music education major, so it's a vital skill to have, to be able to not control a room but making sure that everyone's on the same page and everyone is in it and fully focused, so that there's no stragglers, so that everyone is working, everyone's focusing on something that they want to accomplish.
Adapting would be a big one, I think. Because like I said before, all the other ones, like every weekend, it's a totally new experience. How we're feeling that week is going to be totally different from the week before or during training. And so I think being able to look at our team and see, okay, what do we need to do this week to make everything work? What is something that I might need to step up in this week, or back off and let somebody else step up and do? I think that was the biggest thing that I learned about myself and learned through the entire experience, was how to become more adaptable and to see as a team what needs to be done and what each of us needs to do individually to make the bigger picture work together overall.
I would have to say letting other people do what they are best at doing, and without always checking to see how they're leading or how they are performing on a different task. It definitely helped having my color partner. He was really great at certain things, and I was also good at other things. So it was great to be able to not have to worry at all about what he was doing or anyone else, of course, on staff was doing.
Public speaking and patience, probably. I guess in a way they kind of went hand in hand, because I would just get really nervous before going in front of groups of people, like not just students but also parents. And I think throughout the experience I was just able to grow more comfortable in those situations, and I was able to be patient with myself and not let myself get frustrated. Even if I did make a mistake, I was able to learn from it and do better the next weekend.
I definitely feel like I saw growth in myself as a person. I just feel like I take myself less serious now. I definitely feel like I can help people without, without questioning myself, like, oh, am I knowledgeable? Oh, am I ready for this? I definitely feel like I've become a more confident person, and I definitely feel like I've grown as a leader because of it.
I think, again, the growth I saw in myself was just more comfortableness, comfortability, I don't know, more just being more aware of who I am and being aware of how actually I work, because I had this idea that I work, I'm really organized and I'm all these things, and some of them were true and some of them weren't true after I realized, oh, this is actually, something when I'm under stress or under pressure, that I actually do this when I'm stressed, or I actually do, because we have this, maybe, we think we do something, but actually we do something else. So being really cognizant of how I work and how I interact with people, and making sure that I'm always checking in on myself, and making sure that I'm not, just totally zoning out or totally not in it.
I saw myself grow more in just learning to sit back and listen and watch instead of always being up in the front and telling people what to do. I learned a lot about myself, and then also about working with groups and helping others throughout the sessions.
I think I saw myself becoming more patient and more reflective, because I've realized that if you don't gain as much out of an experience. So during this experience I definitely grew, and reflecting on the experience and realizing what I was gaining as it was happening.
Yeah, I would have to say yes, I did see myself grow, like I touched on before, pretty much in the confidence area, when it came to like leading discussions and whatnot. That's pretty much where I experienced most growth.
Definitely, I think that I became a lot more confident being an orientation leader. That was something where I've always been a confident person, but being an orientation leader really, really helped me to be able to be more comfortable. Whether I was leading or just in interpersonal relationships with people, it really, really helped, because you have to do so much work one-on-one with the students. So it really helped me to be more comfortable in who I am.
I definitely had one of those aha moments at the end of orientation when I realized that you really can't judge someone just by interacting with them, even for a few minutes at orientation, because they will always surprise you, especially people who you wouldn't expect to be nervous or have concerns about starting school, but they felt open enough to talk to me and ask those questions that I might have felt embarrassed to ask. So one thing that I've learned just as an overall person is to not assume anything about anyone.